my privilege to introduce our speaker here today. I've known John Wilson for a long, long time, and he was here a few years before I arrived here. So he goes back to like late 70s, 70-ish, somewhere in there. I was involved with the Carmel in the Valley project and period of the fellowship there in near Timberville, New Market, that's right. And Hearthfire, and he was known as Teepee John in those days because he was living in a teepee on the property there. He worked with Alan Chadwick as a student for the time when Alan was there teaching French intensive gardening and all kinds of things to do with life and growing spiritually, and definitely another Yoda teacher on the planet. With a lot of subtleties. I had the pleasure of listening to some of Alan Chadwick's tapes that Judith was transcribing years ago. John is just a hugely hearted man. He loves Mother Nature. He loves working with the earth. He loves music. He played congas on Christmas presents way back in 1983 when that was recorded in a little garage manger of his studio. He's been very tolerant of my zany sense of humor over the years. We've had a lot of laughter together and shared many, many times. Actually, Judith and I stayed in one of his houses over on General Booth Boulevard the latter part of my time here in the late 90s before I went to UVA. He's just a dear, dear brother and loved by many and with a lot to share on a very down-to-earth, practical roots level. So let's give him a warm welcome here to the fellowship. John Wilson.
So lest I ruin my reputation I think I'm going to just, I don't know. If I can live up to all that.
You already have.
Oh, good. Well, it's good to see you all here. It's good to be here. Thanks for coming. I did reduce my amount of talking today, and we were going to have a little spoken word. I don't know what you call it, but you'll see with my troupe. I guess it's a troupe, right, of actors.
We are.
The main thing I want to say, though, and remember this, I'll say it a couple of times. From the highest place, a positive trend has been detected. It's a joke. I mean, Kathleen has an app on her phone, and it started telling her a positive trend has been detected, and that sentence just really latched into my brain. Like, okay, the news is bad every day. There's politics and there's war and but a positive trend has been detected, and it's starting right here, right now. A little news from the farm first. It's a little Garrison Keeler-ish there, news from Lake Wobegon, but this is the news from the farm. So the strawberries were great this year. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Woof. Oh, they were so good. It was the best strawberries we ever grew. I don't know why exactly. I know I'm always improving my techniques on soil. It's all about the soil. It's all about the soul. It's the same thing. You got to go to that deeper level and get all the little invisibles working for you. And we apparently did that. And we turned them in last week. They were done, and they're an annual crop. So that was a little sad, but also it's always death and renewal. That's one of the things you learn. And so the other thing is I started my day this morning with an experience. I have 100 new baby chicks. They're 2 weeks old. I'm going to be a chicken breeder, actually. I'm trying to find things I can do as I get older that are easier to do. And being a chicken breeder is in that category. So I go in this morning, and they are in a brooding chamber, It's small. I have to get down on my hands and knees to go in because I wanted it to be, the last batch I did, it was winter when I got them, so I wanted it to be easy to keep warm. So this is a small. You got to get on your hands and knees and crawl in. Yep, everybody's okay. Give them some food. You know, I'm reaching all in there and giving them some food and change the water, and I see a dark spot back in the corner. I'm like, okay, what's that? And I crawl over closer. It's kind of dark in there. And there is a coiled up snake. And it's not making any moves at me. I can tell that it thinks I don't know it's there, so it's going to just, kind of stay there. And I get closer to try to look at its pattern to determine if it's a poisonous snake, because I do dispatch poisonous snakes on my farm. So I go a little closer. It's got the patterns of a copperhead, but it's the wrong coloring, except it's dark in there, and I'm just not sure. And I couldn't get a good view of its head. You can tell by the shape of the head whether it's poisonous. But anyway, I determined that it was poisonous, and I also saw 2 lumps in its belly, and I knew what that was. So I had a little wrestling match with a snake this morning. Well, the snake is stretched out on top of the well house now. And I don't like killing things, but A, it's poisonous, and B, my landlady has her grandchildren at the house right now. And yeah, these 2 little kids too. I told them there was a dead snake back there, not to be alarmed when they saw it. Oh, did they run back? They wanted to see it right now. So I'm not sure why I had that this morning. I couldn't tie it into the talk exactly, so I just told you the story. That was not fun, but I did it, and it's moving on to its next life. Actually, there's a lot of snakes on the property, turtles, frogs. We have a chorus of turtles every night. I mean, so many frogs, you can't believe it. And the dragonflies like the pond. So that means last year it didn't work, but this year we don't have any mosquitoes. Dragonflies eat mosquitoes. I mean, you walk out the door and the air is filled with dragonflies. But anyway, that's the news from the farm. Hey, it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. Everybody who's a father, happy Father's Day. I'm a father. Boy, becoming a father was something, though, I'll tell you. I don't know if you all, fathers and mothers too, like when you first are a parent and you're like, okay, now what do I do? Okay, how does this work? Everything changes all the time. And I felt so unprepared, not ready for all that. I took classes, parenting classes at the Pendleton Child Services Center, which is unfortunately not there anymore. Great classes. I read books. Of course, the continuous on-the-job training was always there. And I was trying to become the archetype of the good, loving father, even though the kids were playing the archetype of the rotten little... No, no. This is my daughter over here, by the way, in case you wondered. No, she was especially...
I'm proud of the way you raised her.
But yeah, she was a good kid. She was a good kid. I was just a joke. I didn't have to hardly do anything. Just show up and put food on the table. But anyway, there is an archetype about the good father and the loving father, and I'm going to speak a little bit about archetype here today. But just to say, God bless the fathers, God bless the mothers who had to take the role of the fathers. God bless everybody who's raised children, and it's a big deal. And I'm especially thankful that there is a strong presence of the rising spiritual feminine in our world today. So I'm going to add that on Father's Day. And there's an arc in the in life, raising a kid, they grow, it changes. There's also an arc in the spiritual life. And it starts with desire, maybe just curiosity, maybe a really deep longing, maybe accidental, a near-death experience, whatever. But for some people, it's just a little curiosity, like what's the spiritual stuff. But for me, it was a real deep longing. I really wanted to know what was in the good book and what it was saying, and I read it twice through, word for word, at one point. And I tried to squeeze those answers out of there, and I've done a lot since then to keep that going. And again, some people start with just a nudge. I still feel some of that longing occasionally, like for an answer today, or for, okay, why is there still so much war, or whatever. There's a lot of reasons to feel that. And on that path, you're lucky if you might get an experience that really seals some of that for you. A nudge, a bump, a whisper, a dream. I feel really lucky that I got a couple of big spiritual experiences that, for me, there's no going back. The spiritual life is it. I've told those before in here, so I'm not going to repeat those, but it's good to seek those experiences. That's why we chose the song, Seek and Ye Shall Find, because you will find something. You look, you ask, you knock, you will find something, and then it will lead you. So that's part of that arc. And then, of course, there's going to be some bumps, especially for those who are on the spiritual path, I think. Yep, there have been lots of rough spots over the years, learning times, and the what? I have to forgive that person times. Unfortunately, you're given time. If there's something hard that you got to forgive, we're given time to do it, and comfort. And you don't have to do it if it's not real. I had one person that took me 8 years to learn how to forgive. I worked at it. I was asking for it. But, there's hard things on that path too. And so the other archetype I want to talk about, sort of like, the Father God, even though I'm a believer in, the Father, Mother God. But, our inheritance, it's called in the Bible occasionally, and there is a blueprint. There's the archetype, the Christ consciousness. It's a pattern. It's a mantle that you can take on and become. And that also is not easy. Apparently it takes no time, just one moment. But my experience is that it's taking my whole life to keep working there. And I do feel it more and more all the time. That's a goal. That's a pattern. That's an archetype, our inheritance to become Christed beings. And I believe that. Jesus left us with some instructions too. And one thing is, you can't think your way there. I've been in groups of people where it was like a bunch of old, long-bearded rabbis wagging their beards, talking about how many angels on the head of a pin and arguing about the fine points of religion. And you can't think your way there. Thinking is good, though. We want our mind, but we want to shift it from our confused mind to the divine mind. And there's a different path for each of us, too. That's the other thing. There's a different way to get there. I mean, you also can't storm the gates of heaven. That doesn't work. You can't good deed your way there, saying, now I'm worthy. There's some mystery involved in this, and it just happens. And as I said, each of us has a different path, and we have to follow it. The song. Follow, your dreams, your meditations, your moments of inspiration, and you'll find it. But what did Jesus leave us? My favorite, and I talk about this a lot whenever I see somebody even slightly looking my way. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So, we talk about going to heaven when we die, for example. I love the gospel songs so much, but the kingdom of heaven, according to Jesus, is within you. So then your task is, how do I get it? How do I find that? And that's been my life's work in a way. He also said, and some people don't like this, it sounds something arrogant or irreverent. Ye are gods. That's the Christ consciousness. One of my favorite talks I ever heard was Dr. George Ritchie talking about his near-death experience. And he said when Jesus took him on a tour of the other dimensions, he said they were Christed beings. They had all that light that Jesus had, although they were giving Jesus in his experience the reverence of being the one who did pierce the veil for us here and make that way more possible. I might be interpreting slightly this one, but it says, when you pray, go into your closet to pray, where only you and God know what's going on there. To me, that's talking about meditation also. Meditation is repeated so many places by all the religions, and I try to do it. I might do it 4 to 5 mornings a week, and when I do that, I always feel so good. And it's not like being fully Christed in that moment, but I know it's like another drop in the bucket. The way I describe my meditation is the upper room meditation. And I say that because what did Jesus say at the time of the upper room? He said, go and wait in the upper room, and I will send the Comforter. And they waited 40 days. I'm adding up my 40 days 1 hour at a time, but it's a long time to sit in one place. But so that's what I feel like when I'm going to go meditate. It's the upper room. Go and wait upon the Lord. I don't have a lot of techniques I use. And it's a waiting with intention. Intention is so important. And why, the Essenes, who were the ones who were preparing the way, I'm sure many of you know about the Essenes, for the birth of Jesus back in the day. They were called the expectant ones. So when I meditate, I am expectant. I have an intention. Something can happen right now. And I often do feel, at the least, a peacefulness that just kind of slips in. And I love, of course, the song True Home so much. When I need to say a mantra because my mind is racing here and there and it's already halfway through the day, my little thing I say is, I am home. And I say that meaning in my body, because I used to leave my body a lot just to escape life. I don't know how to describe that exactly, but kind of being absent from my life in some way. And so I'm home in my body. I'm home in the space I'm in. I'm home in Virginia Beach. I'm home on the planet. Really trying to claim that centeredness. And that makes a big difference for me. And I carry that expectancy, that intention of that archetype. And if you're going to accomplish anything in your life, you have to have intention. And then some kind of plan might develop. But you have to have an intention. If you're going to be a gardener, well, I'm going to have a garden. Okay, now what? And I could do a long talk on that, but anyway. So that, for me, that's the intention, the expectant ones, the Essenes. And then we're going to end this with a reading, as I said. But it's important. There's emotion. There's a certain kind of spiritual emotion that has to be added in also. the dull arguing over the fine points of, something. There's a little emotion there, I guess, arguing, but there's a divine emotion that has to power some of this too, and I believe that. So when you devote that time to prayer and meditation and study, and you have patience, gotta have some patience, because you're going to meet something in the road. What they say is, what's in your way is the way. You're going to meet something that's the next thing you have to learn to get, I'm sorry, but it's true. You got to deal with some stuff. But you will become this new person. You will become more loving all the while. You will learn how to address things in your life when they come up. The person you have to learn to forgive. The time span to forgive does get shorter. And so have hope in that. Believe in that. Have your intention. Give your spiritual life the same time you give other parts of your life. And now we will have a reading. And this will be the end of this is the end of my talk. Somebody who wrote all that stuff I just said poetically, beautifully.
And that was?
Oh, yes. Give credit to the author. Khalil Gibran, The Prophet. Anybody know that book? I've been reading it for 40 years. Over and over again. I love it.
Ready?
So,
all right. Okay. Al-Mustafa, the chosen and the beloved, who was a dawn unto his own day, had waited 12 years in the city of Orphalese for his ship that was to return and bear him back to the isle of his birth. And in that 12th year, on the 7th day of Elul, the month of reaping, he climbed the hill without the city walls, and he looked seaward, and he beheld his ship coming with the mist. And then the gates of his heart were flung open, and his joy flew far over the sea, and he closed his eyes, and he prayed in the silences of his soul.
am I a harp with the hand of the mighty? Skip one.
Nope.
We didn't rehearse this very much. Am I a harp that the hand of the mighty may touch me? Or a flute that his breath may pass through me? A seeker of silences am I. And what treasure have I found in silences that I may dispense with confidence? If this is my day of harvest, in what fields have I sowed the seed? And in what unremembered seasons have I sown those seeds? If this indeed be the hour in which I lift up my lantern, well, it is not my flame that shall burn therein. Empty and dark shall I raise my lantern, and the guardian of the night shall fill it with oil, and he shall light it also.
These things he said in words, but much in his heart remained unsaid, for he himself could not speak his deeper truth.
And then there came out of the sanctuary a woman whose name was Almitra, and she was a seeress. And he looked upon her with exceeding tenderness, for it was she who had first sought and believed in him, when he had been but a day in their city. And she hailed him, saying,
Prophet of God, in quest of the uttermost long have you searched the distances for your ship. And now your ship has come, and you must needs go. Deep is your longing for the land of your memories and the dwelling place of your greater desires, and our love would not bind you, nor our needs hold you.
No.
Now therefore disclose to us, to ourselves, and tell us all that has been shown you of that which is between birth and death.
People of Orphalese, of what can I speak, save of that which is even now in your own souls?
to us of love.
When love beckons to you, follow him. Though his ways are hard and steep, and when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams, even as the north wind lays waste your garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. And even as he ascends to your heights and caresses your tenderest branches which stand in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. Like sheaves of corn he gathers you unto himself. He threshes you to make you naked. He sifts you to free you from your husk. He grinds you to whiteness, and then he kneads you until you are pliant. And then he assigns you to his sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. All these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. But if in your fear you would seek only love's peace and pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor into the seasonless world, where you will laugh, but not all of your laughter, and you shall cry, but not all of your tears. Love gives not but itself, and takes not but from itself. Love possesses not, nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. When you love, you should not say, God is in my heart, but rather, I am in the heart of God. And think not you can direct the course of love, for love, when it finds you worthy, directs your course. And love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. But if you love, and must needs have desires, let these be your desires: to melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night, to know the pain of too much tenderness, to be wounded by your own understanding of love, and to bleed willingly and joyfully, to wake at dawn with a winged heart, and give thanks for another day of loving, to rest at the noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy, to return home at eventide with gratitude, and then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a song of praise upon your lips. Thank you. Did you cry? One more song. This seemed to go right with us.
There stands a misty mountain in the soft and gentle rain, against the flight of endless time, forever to remain. And through all the passing seasons, through every night and day, I can see that misty mountain. I can hear the Spirit say, oh brother, don't you weep. Oh brother, don't you weep no more. Sun's gonna shine on a golden shore. Oh brother, don't you weep. Oh sister, don't you weep. Oh sister, don't you weep no more. Sun's gonna shine on a golden shore. Oh sister, don't you weep. Up the rocky road of trouble, down the twisted paths of pain, sometimes music all around you, and you just can't seem to hear when he answers just around the bend, but he never shows up clear. When there's darkness right above you, it's hard to know and understand. But there's a heart out there that loves you. There's a promise in your hands. Oh, people, don't you weep. Oh, people, don't you weep no more. The sun's gonna shine on a golden shore. Oh, people, don't you weep. Oh, people, don't you weep. Oh, people, don't you weep no more. The sun's gonna shine on a golden shore. Oh, people, don't you weep.